So I remember as a kid, my dad used to watch Andy and Mayberry. That's what he called it. It's the Andy Griffith Show, right? So he's watching this show in black and white, making me watch these reruns, say, this is good, wholesome television. It's from his era. We're sitting there watching it, and the show was decent. I mean, I was used to the G.I. Joe and Transformers and things being blown up, the A-Team. So when I'm watching this, it's a slower pace. And I wonder why my dad is so fascinated by this Hicks show. That's what it seems like, right? No disrespect to the South, because my family's originally from the South on my mom's side. Yet he was saying this, watch this show. Now, I began to watch as my dad spent time with me in his final year before he transitioned and passed away. I was now having my children during the time of the shutdown watch this show with me. And as they're watching this show with me, I show it as a kind of like a gag. Hey, let's watch this show that my dad used to make me watch. And then they say, no, Dad, we really like this show. So they're watching the show with me. Let's watch another episode. Let's buy the whole season. We're watching it. And there's one episode in particular that jumps out. This is the Sound Money episode. This is CEO of Destiny. Greetings, talking about sound money. So Opie finds a wallet that has $50 in it, and he's blown away, and he's so excited about it. He's like, oh boy, $50. And my children are sitting back unamused. Dad, it's just $50. He's going and he's looking for things like a bike. He's looking for, hula hoop and just all these different things that he can get, a multiplicity of things. And his dad is even saying, Sheriff Andy is saying, that's a lot of money. And, it's just all this dilemma about this $50, and they have to set up. I don't want to give the spoiler of the episode. Here's the point. My children are saying it's not a big deal. It's only $50. I'm saying, son, daughter, $50 was quite an amount of money back then. And they go, why is that? So we look it up, and, in today's dollars, it's over, let's say, $500. And I'm just rounding just to be clear. And they go, well, how on earth could it be worth so much? So I said, man, the average wage at that time was this amount, and they were able to buy this. And so the children are asking the rightful question of, well, what happened? And I go, well, it's the money. It's the money, you guys. This is what happened. The money has been now inflated. The more that dollars get printed, this is inflation. The value of the dollars decrease. The value of the items, a loaf of bread is still a loaf of bread is a loaf of bread, right? Fish is still fish. But the more the dollars get pumped into the economy, the more the debasement or the value of that goes down. If everybody says that this is the only Jordan shoe that's ever made, it's a one of one, and then someone finds a factory that has 40,000 more of them, the value of those go down, right? It immediately tanks because the rarity determines the value. So the inflation or the pumping up of it is what we're dealing with. And this is powerful because this goes back to the scriptures of why the Father says that he hates dishonest scales. Dishonest scales are not his nature. This also goes to the money changers. When we see Messiah come in, and he says that in two different instances, but it talks about him, and he whipped and he's turning over their tables, and he is serious about this. He has got an indignation, and we just think it's, they're selling it in there. It's like, no, they turn the court that was meant for everyone to come from around, from all nations, and be able to do honest commerce into a place where they were paying inflated prices. So they were debasing their currency the same way that we do now. So if he turned over their tables, what would he do to the economic system now of most nations? That the more that they print up this paper money, the more debased it's becoming. So it's powerful to me that most of us are not hearing this shared when we talk about it in the context of righteous conduct. We look at it as, okay, there's people that may fleece people who get behind a pulpit, or there's people who stand up and they are trying to manipulate people to get money. But we don't look about the very money itself and saying, what's going on? Is the fact that people are still working hard, yet they're able to get less normal? Have we became content with the fact that we can work our whole, four decades, you're working 40, 45 years in hopes that in the last maybe 20 years of those life, you'll be able to do the things that you always dreamed of. You'll be able to have the resources to be able to not only take care of your needs, but of your offspring and your grandchildren and so on and so forth. And then we find that it's not that way. We find that it becomes harder and harder. We're finding that more people who have, bought into the idea of retirement are having to go back and work a job. And I believe scripturally that's okay. The retirement thing is not found in the scripture. Yet I am questioning and saying, how can we find a solution to the funny money? So in steps in what we hear about this idea of Bitcoin and Satoshis, right? In 2008, 2009, the emergence of this digital money, this ability of saying that there is something that is scarce, that there's only 21 million, that it's mathematically documented, that there's an open ledger for people to see the transactions, that it's not changeable, it's not manipulatable. It is in the manner of which we see with paper money. It makes people uncomfortable because it's digital, yet it's interesting to say, what is property if property can easily be taken from you? If property can easily be censored, or, they can put all kinds of constraints about what you do with your property. And anybody who owns any physical property understands this with conventional real estate, of how environmental agencies can come onto the land that you purchased and tell you and say, you can do this and you can't do that. And this is how you can use it and this is how you can't use it. And then people who own physical property also understand that they still pay taxes on it. You could pay off the whole balance of it, but yet you're still almost paying a lease to the government, of whom I'm trying to figure out scripturally how they have the authority to do that. Because I thought Psalm 24 verse 1 says, the earth is the Lord's, the fullness thereof, the world, and they that dwell therein. So these are things to think about, is that what are you doing that shows that you believe in honest commerce, that you don't like dishonest scales, that you hate dishonest scales the same way the Creator does? Are you thinking about? Are you looking at gold, silver, all the things that he speaks in Genesis that he's given to people as true value? Okay, well then what about if it's attached to paper? Can the price of gold be manipulated? Well, take a look at the markets and you figure out. With that being said, is there a way to stack Satoshis, one Satoshi, the lowest denomination of a Bitcoin, by Satoshi? Can you take this currency and can you have a new replacement for what is going on? Can you add a 1% to your portfolio? Can you look at and say, you know what? I don't like the current picture of what's happening with money. And why did I start thinking this way? Because I read more books, because I've listened to articles, because I went to conferences and I paid what me and my wife affectionately call the idiot tax. I've been in the rooms where I'm the dumbest person in the room and I'm asking the questions and people are rolling their eyes, and the platform speakers are coming to me afterwards and saying, hey, I really appreciate the question that you asked. Why? Because they show that I'm engaged. What are you engaged in? Oh, what are some of the, hey, have you looked at this? This is a great book or resource. This is a great, go to this website. Here's a newsletter. So I'm taking time and I'm paying the idiot tax because I want to do what the scriptures say. By the grace of the King, I want to leave something for my children's children. And not only that, I want to teach my children and prepare them for the world that's not just an ideal world that's in my head, but for the world that's to come. The scriptures call this the present evil age because things are being manipulated, right? And in the age to come, which is the age of Messiah returning and reigning on the planet for the time that he reigns, that's when things will be brought into order. So right now, as an interim and as a stopgap, we might need to look outside of just the conventional wisdom. We might need to look at other things and say, wait a minute, these things that I thought was a scam, or because I didn't understand it, I denigrated and I spoke negatively of it. I remember my best friend when we were children, he was reading this stuff when we were in high school. He was reading about cryptography. He was reading about, digital money and all this. And I said, this is dumb. Why would I pay for digital when I have the physical? And I didn't understand economics. And I'm still learning economics. So my encouragement to you as a viewer, as a prudent student, as someone who is looking towards the future and someone who is preparing, because the future is for the prepared person, right? And the one who has a vision is the one that will prosper versus the one that doesn't have a vision. They're going to perish. So I'm encouraging you, don't wait for somebody else to take control of your financial future. Think of your own family and build assets over liabilities. Build things that can hold value. Build things that you can take and that you can enter into the financial game in a manner to which your family is positioned to win. This is encouragement. Those of you that are hearts are given to, you love charity, you love being a blessing to others. How can you be the Samaritan? When he said, go and do likewise, the master gives the story of the Samaritan. We call him the Good Samaritan. This is not even, that's the little subtitle that they put in your Bible, but that's not what he's just talking about, a Samaritan. And this Samaritan does what is good in his eyes, and so notable that he tells us to do likewise, which is to go what? And have enough resources that not only can we take care of me and my four and no more, but that if there happens to be someone who's in distress, we can reach into our resources and we can be a blessing to them to cover their medical bills, to cover their lodging, to cover their well-being, to make sure that they get back on their feet, thus showing our good works that they would glorify our Father who's in heaven. This is not some pie in the sky. This is not some lottery. This is not some hopeful, wishful thing. This is the reality of you have the ability now with the resources that you have to take them and to multiply them. If we would do the due diligence of investigating and studying to show ourselves approved, a workman that need not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth, that we are looking into economics, we're looking into finance, we're looking into exactly what is money. We're asking that question. We're not just accepting at face value. We're not just saying little axioms and religious cliches and phrases that we've heard. You know, money is the root of all evil. And, you know, we're not also on this perspective that, man, if I just, you know, give to people who say that they're righteous, all of a sudden my pockets will explode and everything will go well for me. You're not looking to magic and lottery, and then you're not looking to, and you're not deifying and exalting poverty and being impoverished and looking at that as virtuous. You're saying, how can I occupy, do business, Luke 19, right? Until he comes back. So this is a short encouragement. I want us to think broader. I want us to think bigger. I want us to think multi-generationally. I want us to be like the patriarch Abraham. And most importantly, to be like the master who tells us that if we're faithful with little, he will make us rulers of much. So are you faithful with what you have? Do the due diligence, pick up a book, read a podcast, subscribe to a YouTube channel, read some newsletters, some articles, go to some events and some conferences, learn about what's happening. Because if it's good enough for nation states and for sovereign wealth funds and for all the big players like the BlackRock and the, JP Morgan Chase and Jamie Dimon and all these individuals that once spoke negatively about Bitcoin, then what about you? What about us? What about the perspective that you're having? Is it worth incrementally studying? And that the more understanding you get, the more you might invest. I don't even like the word invest, but the more that I do love the word invest, but I don't like in the terms of that you're just not looking to get something big in return, but you're thinking bigger about what is your financial house structure and how are you building it. So might be a stopgap, might be worth investigating. That's all I got. Shalom, shalom. Love to hear your comments. Go ahead and comment. Give me your feedback. Tell me your thoughts. Tell me, have you done research? What good books have you read? What good articles are you reading? What good people are you listening to? And what good events are you going to? I want to hear. I want to hear some of your thoughts about finances, resources, money, multiplication, debasement, inflation, economic value. Why not? Shalom.